Looks like it's that time again. Welcome to the gunnery PC developer stream for July 2024. I am Josh, Action Scripter, and I am joined by Blake and Harry.
Ahoy hoy.
Yo.
Alright, so you guys probably already know we released a game update just a few days ago. What was that, the 10th? Something like that. It has the mission configurator. That was a huge change. We had to overhaul the way that all the missions were structured on the back end, and that took a while. Very glad that it's done. But on the upside, you get to change any mission that you have completed. So if you beat a mission, you can change all the vehicles, you can change all the ammo selections if a vehicle has more than one kind, and you can even switch sides by changing the vehicles. And we're going to play a little bit of that while we talk. But you might be wondering what else is coming. So the deal with the mission customization was that was actually just a small portion of the team working on it. The rest of the team was occupied working on major roadmap features. The next major roadmap feature in the pipe should be infantry. We're working on two things right now, infantry and Bundeswehr. And they are both a lot of work. Different parts of the team have been working on each one. I think we had more programmers working on infantry for the last 2 months than we did on the customizer. So the customizer was just kind of an in-between feature, a stopgap in a game full of stopgap vehicles. It's a big deal. It takes a lot of work. There's animation stuff to work out, AI, tons of things. They're not quite in a place where we can show them yet. Maybe we'll show patrons afterward, but infantry are still cooking. So we're just gonna run a general Q&A stream, just chill and talk about stuff. And Harry and Blake, if you guys want to jump in at all, feel free.
Only if you really need help with gunnery.
Oh yeah, of course I have to rely on you as the gunnery master.
I think you've got this. We've been doing this enough times at this point where I think you're pretty good.
I'm gonna run Ruined Regiment in reverse, I think.
We got a question in the chat, how is Bundeswehr coming along? Which is one that I can kind of take. I think I'm mostly doing it at the moment for team-wise. It's a few things are almost at a point where we could ship them, but we want to make sure that there's they have enough, like everything's fleshed out enough that you can at least do missions with them, rather than sort of trickle it out. It is going to be like a multi-patch thing to get all their equipment in, but we want to make sure that there's enough to sort of get started with the first time they drop, I suppose. There's also this question of like, do we ship them before infantry or after? And if infantry is already in, do we then have to set up the Bundeswehr infantry, which is another question. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, Josh?
I mean, we could probably do it in whichever order. It's going to come down to who's ready first and how the integration goes. I mean, we've had things be ready around the same time, but then one of them needs more work to be compatible with the other. Like trenches and the mission configurator.
Oh yeah.
That's something we're still cooking, is being able to do dug-in vehicles instead of these dirt piles. So that's not quite ready yet, but someday soon.
Had some notes that music was too loud. Did you happen to see that?
Yeah, I turned it
Josh?
down a little. Although now that we're in actual gameplay, if you guys have any trouble hearing the talking, let us know.
You should switch over to game.
Am I not on game?
You're not on game, son.
Oh. Oh, okay, I see what happened. My stream stuff went behind another window.
We got a question about destructible buildings, and the answer for this one is the same as the answer for a lot of other things, and it's because it's cool, we will experiment with it, and if we can make it work, we'll do it, but it's going to depend on exactly what we can pull off. We haven't put it on the roadmap for that reason. We have no idea if it's possible inside our framework in a reasonable time frame and workload, I suppose.
Very true.
Will commander machine guns be usable when infantry comes out?
I don't know about when, but they will be usable eventually.
They're not part of the infantry milestone, if that's what the question is.
Effectively.
They're part of the detailed cruise milestone.
Yeah. Yeah, we know the Ooh, I really drove out in the open here. We know the Abrams machine gun can be used from under armor. It's not something that's a high priority to add right now. Eventually all that stuff will be handled, you just gotta wait.
That Bradley just popped his ears up, man.
Yeah, a lot of good it did him.
Do you guys want to answer questions about the Leopard 2?
Probably
I think
depends
that
which
one's pretty
question.
safe to answer. Yeah, it's a question about the armament and armor.
The rule of thumb. Oh, you want to handle
No,
this one?
you go.
Okay. If you want a general rule of thumb, the Leopard 2 will have the best gun on the NATO side and not the best armor. It will be worse than the Abrams armor-wise, just slightly, and better gun-wise because of the DM-23 Sabo.
An often asked question. Will there be ERA?
Nope. You can see the FAQ for more info on that. I think we've answered that question probably 20 times at this point, so go look it up on the GHPC website.
Soviet tanks with thermals, another often asked question. As far as we can tell, they didn't quite sort out their thermal production until like the 90s. So, no.
Yeah. We're only doing stuff that was in theater around the time that we're depicting, which is roughly 1985. Although we could fudge things sometimes if we decide it's more interesting that way.
You should just add not adding ERA to the stream title. People still ask.
Yeah. That kind of stuff doesn't work. Y485 of Tiny Combat Arena made his Discord handle "Only the Harrier is flyable," and people still asked for other planes. It does not work.
Has anything been fudged as of yet in development?
Fudged
Yes.
in what way?
That's
If they mean timeline. I think because you used the term fudged referring to timeline just then.
Oh,
Is that
yeah,
what
yeah.
they're talking about?
Then yes.
Fudged as in timeline, and the answer is yes.
Yep. The one I can think of is T-72s. They have slightly more advanced variants than they would have necessarily. God. Well, I just got skill issued. Good way to start the stream. Yeah, the T-72, I believe they wouldn't have had the M1, T-72 M1 in 85, but the East German stuff is already suffering so much that it doesn't matter. Game audio is still
a bit loud.
It's at 9%. I don't know how much better we can do here. let's run it back.
Are there going to be more details on the villages and environment in general?
If the art team gets around to that, then yeah.
Well, there's a combined answer to that. It's not just the art team. It's there's some technical stuff there too. To be fair, it's also like not the highest priority with some of the other stuff that we've been working on the last couple months.
Somebody asked, is there going to be GHPC merch? If you go on the website, there's a link to it. I will caution that it's Redbubble merch, so if you want something that'll last like 10 years, you're not going to find it there, but if you just want a cool shirt, then yeah, go for it.
Josh Masuito, champion salesman. Actually, the stuff that I've got from Redbubble from our merch store is held up pretty well.
Yeah, mine's doing fine. Like, I'm wearing the GHPC shirt right now. It's perfectly okay. But if you wear it like every day, you'll wear it out pretty quick.
Yeah, if it's your workhorse shirt, none of this stuff is gonna last.
Somebody asking what variant of the Leopard 2 we're getting. The Leopard 2 was the same in every variant up to the early 2A4, like for the purposes of the game, so it doesn't matter what variant it is. Also, when I say the same, I mean as far as the equipment that matters in the game, like optics and armor and stuff. It's the early armor. You're not going to be doing any feats of shrugging off darts or whatever. It has thermals, but I think only for the gunner. Is that right, Harry?
Yes.
Yeah, gunner's thermals, night vision for commander, independent commander sight, I think.
Yeah, it's got like it's a nice fire control. It's the same fire control as a Leopard 1A4. It can do some fancy stuff. I think it's, as far as like hunter killer kind of stuff, it's probably about the best for its time. I think at this stage it's nicer than the Challenger one. If people are thinking along the lines of like what's a good hunter killer system, I suppose.
Yeah, it's not a bad tank at all. It's just wow.
Just don't get shot in the side. That's my advice.
I should take that advice right now.
Yeah.
We had this talk, Josh.
All right, since I wasn't on game cam when I set up this custom mission, I'm going to show a customization again.
That's a good idea.
What Russian vehicles are still planned? In general, we don't talk about upcoming vehicles at all, but we have a spreadsheet where anything that we've publicly confirmed is on there. So if you look in, I want to say the Discord server has it pinned in discussion, you'll see that there are missile carrying BRDMs still planned. Everything else is, you'll find out when it arrives.
It's a surprise.
Yep. All right,
we got the VR question. I'll answer that quickly.
Go ahead.
The answer to the VR question is, if you look at the game, most of the time when you play it, you're looking through an optic, which is giving you about 10 degrees field of view on the high end. The whole point of VR is having a massive field of view, so we won't be doing VR.
Yep. Okay, so what I just did was I customized the mission. If you've beat a mission at any point, you have the little colored ring that shows what side you beat it from and everything. You can now customize it with that menu. That allows you to switch any vehicle. It's split up by role, what role they play in the mission. If there's more than one type of tank, for example, it'll show both. You can change them individually. And then any ammo that's used by those vehicles. So it saw that I picked a T-72. It knows that you can switch 125mm AP rounds, so it gave me that choice. You can switch all of that as well.
What is the missile carrying BRDM's purpose? Is it just an AT BRDM?
Yep. It is an anti-tank platform.
Illumination flares creating weird shadows a hard-coded problem, or will it be improved in the future?
It's dependent on the lighting engine. There's only so much we can do about it, I'm not sure.
Another often asked question, are there any chance of armored recovery vehicles being added?
Nope. The gameplay loop in GHPC is based on skirmishes. You're not going to be sitting for an extended operation. No ammo trucks, no recovery vehicles. Even something like bridge layers would probably be ridiculous for the timescale of the missions. No repairs, that's a big one. We're not doing like 3-hour operations with downtime.
No digging holes.
Yeah, no digging holes. Even when entrenchments arrive, you won't be digging them.
Yep. I don't know if we've talked about that on the public streams though. I think that's more of a patrons thing.
That's true. Well, then
So
you
far,
heard it here.
yes.
That's something we could maybe show some stuff.
I think I might have a screenshot sitting around, or if you guys find one, drop it in chat for me. Not chat, in our thing.
IT1, no. You can just pretend you're driving an IT1. Jump in the BRDM. Well, NBA and Bundeswehr share the same voice lines. Yes and no. We wrote the script so that the jargon for both factions is in there, and they'll have slightly different order of operations and slightly different terminology, but it'll be the same voice actors and stuff. And I know that native German speakers will be able to tell that they're Hochdeutsch, and they're just going to have to deal with it. You'll just have to cope, because finding that many actors and having that many voice lines in the game is like, it's not practical. We need to try and reuse work where we can.
Yeah. A lot of times people ask for new voice stuff, and voice lines are actually one of the most labor-intensive possible features of the game. Like, the amount of work that it takes to locate actors, hire them, go through revisions, program all the new stuff in, update the databases, like, it takes a lot of work, and it usually takes people away from roadmap feature work that we really want to get done. So it's basically going to be what we have, with small revisions or updates where we can, and that's it. And I think that's perfectly fine, honestly. It's widely cited as an outstanding feature of the game. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, if you want to apply to be a voice actor, you should do some demos. We need to know 2 things about anyone who wants to do voice acting, and we need to know that they have a decent recording setup or access to one, and we need to know that they can act. The acting part is actually maybe the harder part to nail down, because there's plenty of people who understand the voice flow and everything and what to say, but being able to do emotion on command is way harder than most people imagine. Like, acting's like a full-on, like, real skill.
Let me put it this way. I know exactly what I want out of the voice acting, and if I do a voice set for the game, it'll sound like trash, because I'm not an actor. I know in my head what it's supposed to be, but getting it there is a skill, and I do not have that skill. If you played the very old prototype that became gunnery PC, started off life as Josh's unnamed tank game, you would have heard my voice acting in that. It was not up to standard.
It was the best. No, it was the best. When are we getting that back in?
I'm sure you can find some old videos where it's demonstrated. My calm gunner voice. Trying not to wake anybody up.
If I go far back enough in the source, can I find it?
If you do with your access, I think so, yeah. Before we did a clean out.
Okay. Alright. I don't know if I will, but just saying.
Will there be an update this month? We'll let one of you guys answer that.
We just had an update this month.
So there you go. Another person asked, will there be another update this month? And the answer is doubtful.
Re-engage.
Re-engage.
Josh got it first.
Hey, I said it simultaneously with him on my end.
Action Kavi Harry voiced the loaders on the T-64, T-72, and T-80.
Nice. That's a good one.
What would that be? Just yelling up?
Nope. The joke is there's no loader on those.
Point out the normie, that's me.
I would gladly voice the loader on the T-72.
Well done.
Uh-huh.
Who's the MZ? Who's the MZ? I don't know, we haven't done a gender reveal party yet.
I don't know if this smoke's gonna do me any good, but
What mission is this? What
Abrams
mission?
Alley. You can tell from the Abrams.
Yeah. The mission customization in full force. Maps for East Germany. Well, we're targeting Fulda Gap right now, so we're kind of in the Fulda Gap maps at the moment.
Yeah, that's technically west. The thing about the maps is they are not, with the exception of the Point Alpha map, they're not meant to be a specific place. They are based on real places in the area that the game takes place, but they are not labeled as such. So we know where to go on Google Earth to see all the spots that the maps are based on, but you'll notice that there's no like city names or anything on here. They're not supposed to be specific. We have, what, 4 different main maps that we go through for the missions randomly. And they are just meant to be generically the German countryside.
Desert Storm Man when? I know what they're
Yep.
asking, but...
Desert Storm is one of my favorite typos.
Yeah.
We will not be
Are
adding
there
Desert
any-
Storm because
Sorry.
ice cream is too overpowered. Sorry. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
Are there any performance updates, performance improvements in the works?
Yeah.
The answer is as always.
Constant.
Yep.
The never-ending
Constant.
struggle. So yes, but
is-
it's gradual.
Yeah. It is so much of my time right now just plan out and architect the work that are going to be basically gigantic performance improvements down the line.
Yep.
And yes, infantry will have anti-tank stuff. They'll have all kinds of gear that can ruin your run.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. On the subject of performance, there are several changes that we're vetting that could be big for performance, but we don't know which ones will do the most, and we don't know which system configurations will benefit the most from them. So we're being very careful about talking about them. I'm not going to come on here and say, oh yeah, we've got a huge optimization thing in the works, because I don't know yet. We've got ideas that we think are going to pay off in the long run, but we're not sure until it happens.
How smart do you plan the infantry to be? Smart enough to get objectives, smart enough to kill you.
Yep.
These are 2 other things that are kind of in line from a throwaway comment. Livestock running around the fields when? Livestock, civilians, things that people want just to be garbage humans, that's not going in the game.
Yeah, we're not trying to make war crime simulator. If you're excited about infantry because you want to run them over and stuff, you're probably going to be disappointed. As much
Well,
as teenagers on the internet think it's funny to joke about that, we don't.
Will infantry work completely separate from the player, or can they be manipulated by the player?
Separate. It's possible that you'll have some limited control if you're an APC driver, like telling them when to get out and stuff, but there's no infantry gameplay as a feature. You're a tank, they are infantry. Or whatever, you're an armored vehicle.
What about abandoned civilian vehicles in the middle of the road? Stuff like that is more along the lines of map detail. And when we work out some other items with that are in our priority, that goes back to things that, you know, Harry and I were talking about with the art and technical side of adding those details.
Are there going to be any more IFV? Yes. The answer to that question is yes.
What about tank telephones and the like? Do you guys want to explain to me what that is?
So you want us to make infantry go to the back of a tank, pull the phone off the tank, and talk to the crew? Is that what I'm hearing? All right, yeah, I think we can derail development for a month or two to make sure that that animation goes in. Sounds good. Thank you for the suggestion.
I think, like, if there's infantry near you, they'll probably be able to give you spotting reports and stuff like that. But I don't think I'm not even sure what that question really means. Like, is it a tank either does or does not have a phone, and what's the consequence? I don't know. It doesn't particularly make sense. Infantry will be able to communicate with vehicle crews. Yeah, if that's the question.
Let me talk briefly about, actually, you know what? Let me get a mission where I can actually look at all the T-72s, and then I'll talk about them.
Most of the T-72s.
Yeah. I think I can only get 4 in one mission. Something like that. Trying to think if there's a mission of 5 tanks. I want to say no. I think we gotta go fun drive to get the most.
Will there be SPAA later on? That's also an often asked question. I think it comes up every stream.
Depends what we have time for, and it's not going to be playable.
It's the same answer as the destructible buildings thing. It's like, we'll experiment with it. If it works out, we'll ship it. If it doesn't work out, we won't.
Is CAS with guided weaponry planned to make it more lethal? CAS is already pretty lethal.
We've done some experiments with the guided stuff. I think we have prefabs for Mavericks and some of the Russian ones, maybe, or Soviet ones. I did some experimenting with it. It's not ready. There's guidance work that needs to be done, but I would say there's a pretty high chance of that eventually showing up in some form in some way. Okay, so T-72s. We have, I'm on Point Alpha, so this is a very old mission, but I've got 4 of the 5 T-72 variants in this mission. We've got the KPz T-72. This is an early model. It has no smoke grenade launchers. It has the laser rangefinder because they updated this. I think they called it the Ural 1 when they added the laser rangefinder. But
that's a new build turret. The Ural with the TPDK one in it has like a weird sort of blanked off optical rangefinder.
True. Yeah. But so this is an updated factory model where they started building them with the rangefinder, but they hadn't yet gone to rubber skirts as standard, so they still have the no skirts and the gill armor plates. So this is the earliest one so far in GHPC. This is the weakest T-72 that you can get as the East Germans because it has no composite in the turret and it has no reinforcement plate on the hull. Still the same ammo as all the others because that's all they had. Then we move on to UV1. This is a T-72 that's been upgraded with just rubber skirts. The UV is short for a German word that I don't remember and I won't try to pronounce. It stands for transitional version, if I remember correctly. So this is just a basic T-72 with a laser rangefinder and rubber skirts. That's the UV1. The next one is the T-72M. This one has the smoke grenade launchers added. So this is the next kind of standard version of the T-72. Still no turret composite, still no reinforcement plate, but you have the smoke grenades, and it's starting to look a little more like the T-72M1, roughly. Then the next one is the ÜV2. This is a transitional version between the T-72M and M1, and the difference is it has this weld-on plate on the upper front hull. You can see, especially around the tow hooks, there's those cutouts, rectangular cutouts where the plate ends. That's, and you can kind of see up by the driver's hatch as well. It stops before the actual edge of the glacis plate. So this has reinforcement, which they added in response to learning that Western darts could penetrate the base armor of the T-72. This still doesn't have the composite turret though. And then the final step would be the T-72M1, which has a slightly larger turret with composite in the turret cheeks. Let's go pull that up. And that one is, it has the reinforcement plate as well. So in total we have 5 T-72s at the moment. They're just subtle differences going down the line. We thought it was cool, portraying that upgrade path that they did, and it might seem like a small thing, but ultimately this is a game by tank nerds, and that's the kind of tank nerd shit that we put in sometimes.
It also kind of helps with the configurable missions thing. Like before configurable missions, those details wouldn't really be particularly interesting because you'd just be, you know, you start the mission, you get whatever T-72 you're given. But this way you can sort of mess around with them and figure out which ones do what and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. All the missions that are currently in the game have, I think, the base model, the M or the M1 set up by default. So if you want one of the UV variants, you have to substitute it in yourself, which is fine. They're mostly the same as the others anyway. So T-72 M1, it might be hard to tell. The turret is slightly bigger. Not to the extent that the T-72B turret is, but a little bit. It has composite in the front cheeks, and then has that reinforcement plate on the hull.
You can usually notice it because there's a little ledge underneath the smoke racks.
Oh yeah, there is.
I hope you guys never
Stop
quiz
tracking.
me on all of these variations.
There's that one tank quiz that's like 97% get this right. Can you name all the tanks? That's like brutally difficult. This is the kind of stuff that's in it. Yeah, you're right about the ledge. I see that. Yeah, it's not as dramatic as the difference with the T-72B. T-72B has like, the turret is noticeably triangular compared to this one, where the...
It's thick.
Yeah, it's a thick boy. They, the Western analysts kind of blew their shot early when they called this one the Dolly Parton turret, and then the T-72B came out and they were like, whoa, super Dolly Parton turret.
What do you guys think of the YouTube content of GHPC, the videos from either big or small YouTubers? YouTube content and word of mouth are basically our entire marketing scheme, so I'm happy to see any of it.
Yeah.
there are people who do live plays or live streams of just playing the game here and there. I catch them sometimes. I cannot recall any names, but the only reason, well, one of our biggest breaks came from a YouTuber, Spookston, basically giving us a shot at this platform. And, like, that has helped us immensely. So, I love all the content that comes out. Except for one video that slows down the voice lines for every noun that happens, and I don't understand it. But maybe that's just because I'm being old. Everything else is great.
You talking about the one like a week ago?
Yeah.
Is that one too skibbity for you or something?
I guess so. Yeah. That's the line, apparently.
I didn't get that one either, but I still like it. I don't think I've seen any GHPC YouTube video that I disliked. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, every platform kind of has different characteristics and stuff, but YouTube seems pretty wholesome. The worst we get on there is like people who just kind of don't get how to play the game, and usually when we see that, some of that is like almost better than like we've got a feedback forum and feedback bug reporting and everything, but just seeing someone play it live and what they make of it is usually more useful to us, because if we see that someone just doesn't figure out how to use lead, it's like, okay, we're not signaling lead enough to people and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm torn on those, because on the one hand it's really good feedback for us as far as the new user experience, but if a video like that blows up, then one of the prominent marketing features for the game is somebody like bumbling around not showing what actually, what you're supposed to do.
Double-edged sword.
Yeah. Like some of the early reviews of the game that came out in 2022 were people doing that. Like, hey guys, what's up? I'm playing Gunnery PC. I didn't look at any of the instructions, and all right, thanks for watching. Like I would almost rather have not had those than have them published. But what can you do?
It's kind of the other double-edged sword thing going on here is the fact that other, like the free-to-play tank games are so popular. That really, really helps, because it makes people interested in the subject matter and go looking for more, and often they'll find our thing. But the problem that we get from it is people who don't read the manual, and this isn't their fault at all. This is something that it's just a struggle to solve this problem, that they'll just think that it's going to control exactly the same because they're used to how these things work in other games, and they'll jump in and just sort of go, oh, I'll just do Kentucky windage of it on everything. And they just miss out on like the main selling point of the game, and sort of it just flies over their head a little bit. And again, not their fault. It's just really hard we can't ram it down the user's face saying, click on exactly this and click on it. Like we could do a forced tutorial, but that'd kind of suck.
Right,
Like that'd turn people away as well.
I want to do some soft incentivization, like have a qualification rank per vehicle. Like you're disqualified on the gunnery, and the game will monitor for like, oh, you're using the features properly, kind of thing. Like that's my thing that I'd like to do, but we'll see what happens.
Just say you don't like War Thunder players. I love War Thunder players who can play GHPC and separate the two games completely.
Yeah, we're not trying to have like a war between different game players. That's stupid. It's like the console wars. Like who cares? Just play what you want.
Yeah.
Anyway, the T-72 M1 on screen now has these composite pieces. Let me see if I can. There we go. The mouse cursor. These right here, these are sintered quartz ceramic, unless I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure. They cast the turret around these chunks so that when the shot comes in through that area, it forms a 3-layer composite of cast steel, ceramic, cast steel, and that was enough at certain ranges and angles to stop threats better than the cast turret would. So that's cool. It's another incremental improvement of the T-72. Anyway.
If anyone can tell me how they built the 432 turret, I would greatly appreciate it.
Oh yeah,
How did they actually make that object?
Harry's been looking at the Object 432, which was the early T-64, the 115 millimeter, and looking at how the aluminum is filled in the cheeks and how it reaches the top, and like trying to picture the manufacturing process, yeah, it's a bit of a mind teaser.
If anyone's dad worked in that factory or their granddad, let us know. Just for our unsatiable curiosity.
Mm-hmm. Now, before we run out of time yapping about stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and play some more missions. One thing that we did recently was we removed M833 as the default round for US tanks. It's still in the game. You can still customize and put it back, and it's still in the campaign. So if you're at maximum logistics, there's a chance of getting it in campaign mode. But by default, it is no longer the main round. And the reason we did that was we uncovered historical evidence that they were having massive problems getting that round procured in 85. I think, Harry, you've read more about it than I have.
Yeah, they had quality control issues, and they didn't accept, as far as I can find, didn't accept any batches of it until the fix to the round was only approved like mid-year, and from that point on, they would have had to manufacture these things in the tens of thousands before they actually went out, because they wouldn't. This is the other part of the equation. It's like, once they fix it, there's still the lead time in actually producing enough of it that they'd go and equip a unit with it, which is usually, I think it was 3 months of combat load that they'd expect before they'd actually ship it out.
Yeah, they just because a round or a tank existed in a certain year doesn't mean it was actually in a place, and we deal with that a lot when we're looking at what to add to the game. Like, you can look on Wikipedia and find that the T-80U and the T-72B were probably around in some form in 85, but if you look at records of what was deployed to the German border, you will find none of them. Yeah, SPG-9. I'm going to see if I can find it in this mission, and then I'll talk about it a little bit.
Synthonized asks, will this game have a massive Falcon 4.0 dynamic campaign? And it is a sarcastic question, but I have a serious answer. The serious answer is, if someone writes that for us and there's no bugs, it'll go in the game. But we don't have time to do it.
Yeah, it'll have a campaign that has a progression system, and that's, if you think of like the most impressive campaign you've ever seen in a game, we're not aiming for that. We just want it to be enough to be cool, and we want to release the game at some point. We're not, intending to do this for the rest of our lives. We gotta get a move on.
Yeah, I got shit to do tomorrow.
Where is
this came up a couple of times. Do engines in the game have simulated torque curves, and are they accurate?
They do have torque curves. I don't know if they're accurate. Does it matter? Like, can you tell? If you find one that's not accurate, like, chart it for us and let us know.
It's a very complicated question, because there's a fair bit that happens between the engine and the tracks and the ground before.
Yeah.
Like, the only interface we have with torque curves in the game is how fast the vehicle moves, right? And that all kinds of things are happening between engine and movement, which is like, even if we had exact like if someone went and put a T-72 on a dyno or whatever, and we plotted it exactly and replicated exactly, chances are the friction model or something like that there'd be some loss there that wouldn't make it quite accurate. So and this kind of goes for almost everything in the game. Like, at a certain point, it's like you can't just plug in all the values from real life and expect it to work the way it does, because everything is an estimation in a simulation.
We found that with the engine power, actually. There's you can look up the actual horsepower or whatever the metric equivalent is, but if you plug that directly into the engine system in the game, it's going to be underpowered, and that's because of drivetrain stuff. It's just, you have to fine-tune it and fudge it a little bit until it feels right. I don't know where the hell this SPG guy is, so I'm going to find a different one.
Did they have heat mapping drones in the 1980s? Is that a feature that you're showing off right now?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay.
You didn't hear about this? This was the Action Scripter 9000. It came out in 85.
Oh, man. But it's not second to none.
No, sadly.
Yeah, that's right.
Where is this? There he is.
Will West German forces have reserve units equipped with the M48, quote, supers? Oh, I just noticed who was asking the question. Go home, Joel. You're drunk.
Also, we don't answer upcoming vehicle questions.
What is an M48 Super? Pretty sure he made that up.
Probably did. This is what I get for not reading the name before asking the question.
So this guy, SPG-9 emplacement. This is the gun, the recoilless gun that the BMP-1's cannon was based on. It fires the same rounds with a different propellant charge because it's a tube rather than a low recoil cannon. This will be pretty lethal to anything that the BMP-1 can kill, understandably. And currently there are no missions that default to using these, but you can put them in using the configurator. We decided not to put it in the patch notes just for fun, just to see how long it would take people to find it. Of course, it was like 20 minutes or something, so I was like, whoa, you can put SPG-9? So yeah, these are in. I'm sure they'll start making an appearance in missions at some point. I might even drive up to him and see if he does some damage.
Oh, the M48 Super is a prototype. No, we won't be doing that.
God damn it, Joel.
Yeah, see, I already knew.
This is War Thunder stuff, man. Come on.
Yeah. I need to have a big sign that I tap that says no prototypes, no out-of-theater vehicles, only East and West Germany, US, USSR.
Isn't that the FAQ?
Yeah, but people don't read.
People.
I'm rapidly approaching the if somebody asks for Merkava or Type 90, they get banned instantly. Let's see.
Well, we have a replay feature. It would help with content creation.
I
How
don't
do
know.
you mean? A replay feature here is what? Kind of what War Thunder's got?
Like letting the entire battle play out again in real time based on what happened.
Oh, I see.
And watching it back. That sounds like a lot of work, and it sounds like something that we're not even going to think about until later.
Yeah.
Alright, do your worst. That wasn't very good. Oh, who turned the animation speed up on that?
Infantry can be killed inside IFVs, yes.
Yep. There was actually a bug early on where I was testing a mission with BTRs and troops in it. I shot a BTR and then it started flipping through the air and flying away. It was because the troops on the inside had ragdolled and they were messing with the physics of the vehicle. So we
It
had
was
to
like
turn
a
that off.
Gary's mod glitch kind of thing.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Whoopsie.
Oh, Josh.
What hit you?
I think I'm getting hit by Conkers. Yeah,
Life hit him.
somewhere over here there's a BMP. Life did hit me.
T-72
Life comes at you
and
fast, they say.
T-55 AM2. There's no confirmation. Sorry, not happening.
Yeah. Those vehicles were not in theater, right?
Yeah. So far as we can tell. If you have photographic evidence to the contrary, let us know.
Yeah. Occasionally we get people who are very adamant that T-55 AM existed in 85 in East German service. We have found zero proof of this. So, and believe me, we wanted it to be a thing. Like, it would have been really cool to add the AM with the brow armor and everything. But as far as we can tell, they only started trialing in 86 and they only went in mainstream in the late 80s.
Did you just lose another M1?
I did.
Oh, Josh.
Infantry riding on top of the vehicles is a probably not.
Yeah. Remember, we're just trying to get the game done. Every quirky little alternative feature is a pile of extra work, and it's already been taking long enough. We have the roadmap, we're trying to finish the roadmap. That's going to be what our main focus is on. If we add nothing else besides what's on the roadmap and what's already in the game will be considered complete. Now, there are going to be other things too, but, that's our focus.
Yeah. Just a question from me. As far as troops riding on the vehicles, would that have only been to get them to the battle? Or, would that have been a standard practice to go towards an objective in the battle?
I don't think it was standard. I think they did it a bit in Vietnam because they were scared of mines. But I don't think it makes sense for people to be riding tanks in this game because there's carriers everywhere. Just get inside.
Yeah, if you have a mechanized force and everybody's got a vehicle, you're probably okay with those.
Are systems that prevent the gunner from slamming the gun into the hull ever going to be modeled?
Probably. I don't know.
Yes?
They're talking about the, hey guys, has anybody ever put the barrel through the engine deck screenshot?
That's what I was thinking. That might come up in some way, but
yeah, I'm sure.
I took it also as if two tanks, if a tank threw their barrel through the house or something.
Oh no, as far as the
Barrel
gun
collision.
depression limit stuff, yeah, I'm sure that'll happen eventually. But if it's stopping you from playing the game in the meantime, that's unfortunate.
The jitter problem, commando jab, whoever you really are, that is a floating point error from the maps being big. And there are ways to fix that, but not ways that are going to work for what we've got technology-wise.
It's also not something that I particularly want to start looking into or is priority to look at.
Yeah. Unless you're talking about the antenna wiggling, which is a problem of the physics tick not being synced with the frame rate tick sometimes. There's probably a way to fix it, but I don't really care at the moment. Side note, I just did a move where I popped smoke and then shot through it with thermals. And that's because the smoke that was used at this time was not multispectral, so I can look through it. I can't laze through it, but I had already lased, so it was fine.
I like how you're taking on all these enemy forces even though you failed the mission.
Never give up.
Never surrender.
Will
build
SPZ
out-
Fuchs be added? We don't answer vehicle questions.
Will bailed out tank crew act as infantry, or do they just disappear, leave the battle? They will leave the battle, realistically. They will not become infantry. We are still considering if they will become targets or anything like that, but for the most part, you want them to leave. If your tank is out of commission, you don't want to leave. You don't want to have your crew also out of commission.
Yeah, realistically, they're gonna vanish as soon as possible. I don't know exactly what that's gonna look like, but they're not gonna be running around the battlefield for you to spray coax at for the next 5 minutes.
How do you think the game will look like on its last update? See our roadmap.
Yeah.
Hopefully all that.
Should we pull up the roadmap? I feel like we should pull up the roadmap.
Pull up the roadmap if you want. I'm not your dad.
Someone asked the question that technically got answered right at the start of the stream, but we might as well go into it a little bit. The question is, will Germans come all at once or one by one? The phrasing's a little bit funny, but I get what you mean. it'll probably be we'll get one guy in the mission at a time, and then another one will show up in the next update, and then there'll be 3 guys in the third up. No, I'm joking. It'll probably be between 1 and like 2 or 3 things per update. I mean, we have to get them out quickly-ish because we have to figure out how they're going to interact with the rest of the game. But realistically, like, again, we've got everything that we make needs to have multiple people looking at it, and it pulls people off other features, and there's really big roadmap features that are being done by all the engineering team. Like, this is part of why the most recent vehicle update was me making a bunch of T-72s, because no programmers are required for that.
Yeah.
The German stuff requires programmers, so they'll have to be trickled in.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on the website. There are a couple of really useful things here. There's the gunnery guides. There's the bug reporting section. There's the FAQ. There's the roadmap. A lot of questions are answered in the FAQ, hence the name. Let's look at the roadmap really quick. This was made 2 years ago. It still holds roughly true. This is all the main features we were planning to add and the rough order that we were going to start working on them. Basic campaign is done. Fire support is done. Infantry is in progress. We'll show some stuff to patrons, but it's not ready yet. Soviets, more or less done. They got done faster than infantry. Detailed crew being worked on. Bundeswehr being worked on. Enhanced destruction, partially. So like the new VFX are done, the other stuff not yet. Expanded campaign, it's in the design phase. Multiplayer being worked on. Everything has some level of progress on it. So this is still the plan. This is still the roadmap. And yeah, I mean, if you want to refer to this in the future, this is the stuff that we're mainly focused on. And any other ideas about what could or might come to the game are kind of secondary to that. They're probably not going to get a lot of attention as long as these are not completed yet. Let's go briefly over here. The gunnery guides are the most underrated resource, I think, because a lot of these tanks don't perform up to their full potential unless you know how to use them. Like the M1, using the lead system, you can get perfect one shot, one kill on most situations if you use this properly. There's a lot of tips in there too, like the T-55 guide has this graphic explaining which range scale is for which ammo type, and also noting that you don't have to read these because you can look at the HUD to understand it. You know, all the tips on using every vehicle are in there. So I highly recommend checking it out. And these are linked in the main menu of the game. So if I click help, there's how to play, there's gunnery guides, there's report a bug, and there's Discord. Everything's here. Sometimes people ask, how was I supposed to find this? And I don't know what to say.
You're
Anyway.
very familiar with these help links, right? You read up
Yeah.
on the gunnery guides a lot, I bet.
Yeah, I'm not like you know, having a perfect skill on every tank and every situation.
Look at you there.
It's actually quite remarkable, like, you know, not knowing which tank is which, but being able to use them all 100%. It's a
Like I'm a whisperer for
yeah,
that.
like
I just know those
Prodigy.
systems. Yeah.
Mhm.
We got a Ligma question. We need that meme, silence Ligma is talking.
What did Ligma ask?
Ligma asks, are they going to be randomized? Is there going to be a randomized option for the configurator? That's an interesting topic. I think you should start talking about it though, Josh. Because you own that feature.
I mean, I did the bulk of the work on it. coffee helped a lot. That
He
was kind of
always
a double feature, but that's not what that means. So will there be a randomized? I don't know if there will be a randomized option. I know that there's several things that we've thought about that would be cool for the mission configurator. That's one of them. having more flexibility or adding planes or something. That's another one. But I can't say if any of these are going to happen. All the time that I took to make this thing work and to overhaul the mission structure in order to make it happen, that was already enough. I don't know if we're going to be revisiting the customizer anytime soon. There's a lot of roadmap feature work to do still.
That being
Okay.
said, it is a good base to add things. Sorry. That being said, it is a good base to add things to. So when we do need to make a change, we have that available to us.
Yeah. It's nice that it exists, and it also simplifies and improves a lot of the stuff that we're doing for other features. For example, multiplayer is going to be slightly simplified now that the vehicles are set up differently in the missions.
We don't have to account for 2 spawning systems.
Yeah, because before the campaign was using a different system from instant action, and some of the modders discovered this when they were trying to make a mod that lets you pick vehicles, that they just couldn't find a way to make it work in instant action, because in instant action the vehicles were pre-placed and there was no changing them. We've completely revised how vehicles are set up in missions though, so now there's one spawning system. It's used for campaign and instant action. No double code paths to maintain, no messing around. And any future stuff that we do should be compatible with the whole game more readily, which as programmers makes our job easier and also improves the design of some of the upcoming features. Okay, we're coming up on, well, I think we're over an hour now. So.
About, yeah.
Yeah. So
Still
what happens?
268 weirdos watching this.
These are
I have 272 weirdos.
Our lovely fans, I think is what you mean. Okay, so what happens now is we go to the patron Q&A. That happens every month, even when there's no stream. And that's where I think we'll be showing a little bit more. Lately, if there's teasers that involve work in progress stuff, we try to keep it to the patron channels because we can provide more context and explain what's going on and kind of have like a limited rollout going on. So yeah, we're gonna head off to that. Thanks for coming, everyone. We are excited for more updates in the future.
Bye, all.
GG.